Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Whisky Geeks. My name is Tim.
And I'm Alex, and we are two brothers on a quest to bring you the perfect pairing of whiskey and comics. Tim, it has been a while.
It has. Welcome to Season 2, or Volume 2, officially. Yay!
Officially.
We're here.
Volume 2.
Yeah, for
known
our
as
diehard.
the what?
Yes, for the diehard fans, sorry, this has been a minute since we've done one of these. We've had some other podcasts and stuff, but I am happy to be back in the saddle with the official pairings. And Season 2, we're hitting classics, baby.
Yes. So we are looking at classic comic books, books that we feel are absolute must-reads.
Essentials, if you will.
Essentials, yeah. And then we are pairing those up with some amazing whiskeys. Kind
of essential whiskeys as well. Not like must buys or anything like that per se, because not everybody has the same tastes, etc. But pretty classic pairings all around. We're not going to be doing any single cask weird stuff.
That these ones cannot get anywhere.
No, I mean there is one that's like a special one, but it's fine. We'll get to it. It's all coming, folks. Just keep on coming back to the channel. It's good. But hey, first off the bat, check it out. I got a haircut.
Yeah, you did.
I got a haircut. And I mentioned that only because we've already recorded one of the episodes for this season. So for those who watch on YouTube, don't be freaked out when you see another episode shortly. And I've got long hair.
Massive hair growth.
I didn't grow it that fast. That's,
yes, you did. Yeah.
The
just a lot of it.
Pre-recording.
I was going to say some tonics and essential oils. Just massive hair growth.
Yeah. But hey, Season 2, Volume 2, classics, essentials. We figured we needed to start this off with a real essential or classic, and like who better in the comic world to start off with bats?
The
battiest of men.
The battiest of bats. And we wanted to launch with our favorite Batman story. And
I think
it's
a lot of people's favorite Batman story, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's not just like, because there have been some amazing Batman stories, obviously, over the years. I mean, The Killing Joke. Oh, I mean, I love it, and I need to thank you because you actually gave me a first edition of The Killing Joke, and I've got that. I don't have that behind me for some reason, but I've got that in the special comic long box up off the ground, so that on the any chance water comes in, it will not get ruined. So, I mean, The Killing Joke, The Long Halloween, The Dark Knight Returns.
Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Yes. That four-parter. Like, oof. And if you haven't watched it's on Netflix, I think, the two-parter.
The animated's so good.
It's so good. It's so
actually
good.
Death
in the Family.
Death in the Family.
Is a good
there
one.
Are so many good ones. But this one, we are going with The Court of Owls.
The Court of Owls. DC New 52. The rock star pairing of Mr. Scott Snyder and Mr. Greg Capullo. There's not a whole lot we can really say about it. We'll get into it more, obviously, the story for those who haven't read it. If you haven't read it, just go buy it. I've introduced a number of people to this who just getting back into comics, and they're like, where do I start? I like Batman. I'm like, okay, I got you.
Yeah, this one. Start here.
Yeah. If you notice, for people watching, like behind me, I've got almost all of the volumes displayed. Mostly, I don't have Volume 2 displayed because I have it out on loan to somebody. I just got Court of Owls back, actually, and gave them Volume 2 because they were like, that was an amazing story. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, here's Volume 2.
Just
By
wait.
the way, there's 8 of these.
Yeah, it keeps
in
going.
Their run. And, I honestly, I think the Volume 8 with the Joker is
Endgame.
Oh. Those Avengers Endgame or Batman Endgame? That's tough. Avengers Endgame was amazing. The Batman Endgame book. Holy,
it's what it does to what you think about the Joker, and that's what it does for me. And I loved it. I've got those singles.
Oh, that's smart.
And love because it's three comic singles back to back, and it's an amazing ride. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No. All I want to say about that though is it has one of the creepiest panels I've ever seen.
The one with the in Endgame?
With the Joker in Endgame. It has one of the like scariest pages. And I've got a thing with clowns. I did as a kid. I'm fine now. I'm almost 40. I'm not terrified of clowns.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
let's behind me there's a friggin' crazy Joker thing. But anyways,
can we take a short side note just on this clown thing, because we are brothers. We're actually brothers. We actually did grow up together. Yeah. And when you lived below me in this nice little 2-story walk up,
you're a piece of shit.
My wife and I were out garage sailing, and we saw this absolutely terrifying 3D
horrific
art, like the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
This framed, like box framed 3D clown.
It wasn't supposed to be a thing of nightmares. It wasn't like it was someone actually making art to like. It was one of those like 1930s clowns too.
Yeah,
so like the classic old circus clowns, which are even more unnerving in my opinion.
Yeah. So, anyways, we bought it and we're thinking, okay, we gotta somehow give this to Tim. So, anyways, I'll flip over to you now. Where'd you find it?
I just came home from work one day and it was a long day and I was like, oh, I'm going to get a beer. And then I opened my fridge and this terrifying giant 3D picture of a clown was just in the fridge at eye level.
And I heard you scream through the floor.
I remember getting a phone call being like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, you're a piece of shit. I burned that, by the way.
I'm glad you did.
It took a while because I was like, it's funny and blah, blah, blah. But no, eventually I burned it and sent it to hell.
Yeah, where it belongs.
Where it belongs.
All right.
So for those who don't know, and this is your first time listening, what a weird preamble to what we do. But what are we drinking? Which whiskey? Because I don't even think we've mentioned what whiskey we paired with.
No. So if someone clicked this blind and didn't get far enough in the title to actually see what it is, we are pairing this with.
It's in the title.
I mean, it's not Macallan. It's the Macallan. The 12-year-old sherry oak.
Yes.
So this is a whiskey drinker's whiskey and a non-whiskey drinker's whiskey and you'd be hard pressed to come across someone who doesn't like the Macallan 12-year-old sherry. That's
true. It's pretty classic. The Macallan as a brand, I feel, is pretty classic as well. It's been getting a bit of a bum rap the last couple of years. I've seen from some other people on the Whiskey Tube, as they call it, or whiskey reviewers, and just kind of articles in general. People are thinking that the quality's kind of dipping, and I kind of think that's the quality's dipping compared to the price, which seems to be increasing.
I would agree because well, and that's one of the reasons we decided to pair this as well, because when you think about comic books, one of the most iconic things is Batman. When you think about the whiskey world, one of the most iconic things is the Macallan. However, like you just mentioned, the Macallan does have a reputation of being a more expensive, elitist brand of whiskey. They do definitely promote themselves to be that, and we liked that duality with Bruce Wayne, how he's the rich, the elitist of Gotham City, and because it is priced higher when you look at the Macallan 12 versus Bunnahabhain 12 or I don't know, Highland Park 12, or it is significantly more than those other bottles. Yes. Now, that being said, that's what they're trying to do, and they've done it very well. They've marketed themselves very well to be that. Yeah, and it's still a very good product.
For sure. I mean, it is more of like a lifestyle. Like, I hate using this term because it makes me feel like a real D-bag, but it's a lifestyle brand. You know what I mean? But it totally
say that you drink the Macallan.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm just looking up so we're in Ontario, for those who don't know, Ontario, Canada, and I'm just looking up at the LCBO's website, and a bottle of the Macallan Sherry Oak 12-year-old will run you $150, which is very pricey for a 12-year-old.
It's $50 more than a Bunnahabhain 12.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is sort of my just sort of base standard. I figure 12-year-old whiskey's $80 to $100. generally.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought Buna 12 was cheaper than that at the LCBO, but I could be wrong. Let me double check. 89. You're correct.
89. Okay.
But I mean, it's classic. It's, it's the whiskey that James Bond drinks a lot of the time. If you'll notice, in a lot of James Bond movies, there's a lot of Macallan product placement. So we kind of thought that if Bruce Wayne is a whiskey drinker, which we're kind of guessing that Bruce Wayne is a pretty...
Bruce Wayne has a collection.
Yeah, and he's got like the Macallan collection. This would be what Bruce Wayne would drink, because this is like, I also feel like the Macallan is the whiskey that people flex with.
Yeah.
Or that, that rich people flex. Yeah. Oh, I've got a Macallan M series or whatever that fancy one is, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the same. Well, I was just going to say, it's like you go to the golf course and someone pulls out like, oh, well, I've got the brand new TaylorMade. It's like, sure. Okay. Right. All right. Can you hit it?
Right. Yeah. So what's your experience with Macallan?
Limited.
Do you have much at home? No? Yeah, it's limited.
Yeah, no, actually. So the bottle that I have is actually my buddy Dan, who's a member of our club, who lives up here in Ottawa. So thank you very much, Dan.
Shouts to Dan.
Shout-outs to Dan. So he was very nice to said, hey, yeah, here, take my bottle. You can leave it up on your shelf till you guys get around to recording. So it's been a minute since he gave it to me. So don't worry, it's coming back.
How much have you drank from it?
I haven't.
Oh,
I know.
Friend.
Oh, I know.
So much.
No, I looked at it and, it's about halfway down. So I didn't want to, have too, take advantage too much. But so my actual experience with the Macallan is fairly limited. So, I mean, I know I've had the double cask and I've had the 12 sherry before. I'm sure that at some point back when the Highlander pub up in Ottawa was a thing, I probably sampled a few of the other ones. I'm sure I've had their 18 before, but it would have been like a tasting portion, because once you're drinking this out at a whiskey pub, it's going to get expensive. Yeah. So, and that's the main reason why my experience is a bit more limited, just because of the price point.
Right.
So, what about you?
Fairly limited as well.
Yeah.
I've actually been to Macallan though, not to flex too hard.
Flex a little bit.
When my wife and I went to Scotland, we were just kind of touring around, and we're literally like, when you drive through Speyside, it's kind of insane how close a lot of these distilleries are. And it's like, like the Macallan and Glenfiddich and Glenlivet, like they're all like,
yeah.
So we were driving and we saw a sign for Macallan, and I was like, we got some time. Can we pop in? Like, let's go. Yeah. We'll take a look.
Distillery number 8 on your drive around. Like
this was before we really got in. This was about 5 years ago when we went. So it was before I really got into the whiskey world, which is probably good for the bank account, because I would have come home with an insane amount.
Yeah.
But like we went in, and like it's the nicest visitor center ever, and I obviously had to taste some, and they had a Macallan ice cream, which was delicious, I gotta say.
Yeah.
But no, I think I tried the double cask, the 12 and the 18 was the flight.
Okay.
The flight that I got. And it was great. And then when we started doing our whiskey club, one of the very first things we did was just like hey, we're going to do an intro to whiskey to people, and we bought the Macallan double cask.
Yeah.
Specifically because we figured most people have heard of the Macallan. It might be not out of people's price ranges, but people might think, it's a little pricey, I'm not going to do it. So we got it, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Same.
This is, I think I've had the 12 sherry a couple times. I'll give a shout out as well. This is from the Whiskey Dad. He brought this to me, but it pairs. This is my second sample that he gave me. I had one when I was rereading Court of Owls, and it paired amazingly as I was reading that book. To be honest with you, it's deep, it's sweet, it's complex, it's silky smooth. It's, all of the scenes in the book when Bruce Wayne's being Bruce Wayne at a party, you get
schmoozing.
Totally get those vibes. But then when Alfred stitched him up and you need a stiff drink. I think this would also be very good in the Bat Cave doing work. I think it's a pretty fantastic dram. $150 is pricey, but at the same time, like if you take out the fact that it's a 12-year-old for $150, I think I would, if someone gave this to me blind and they said it cost me $150 for this bottle, I would be like, yep, it's totally great. It's drinkable.
Yeah.
It's super smooth. I don't know. It's great.
So comparing with something else that's about the same price point, like the Lagavulin 16, which is right around the same point, right? If you were obviously very different flavor profiles, but when you taste both of those, you're going to find that long finish, right? Like you get this nice, long, smooth finish. Obviously the Macallan being a Speyside, like you're getting much more of the sweeter notes. Also, obviously this is a sherried, so you're going to pick up a lot of those like dried red fruits. And which is obviously what Sherry Oak Macallan is known for. But you're getting that kind of a luxurious mouth experience. Oh God, I almost said mouthfeel again, and then I tried to go in another direction, and I think it was worse. I think a mouth experience is worse. I should have just said mouthfeel.
Is pretty rough to hear your brother say.
Oh man,
it's pretty gross.
So let's just backtrack that. We're going to obviously leave that in. You're not going to let.
I'm leaving that. I'm not
editing that
any of that out. I don't edit anything out. Do you think I've got the time and energy to edit stuff? This all goes out.
So, but what I was trying to say was you're going to get that experience with the dram of a Macallan 12 that you would like a similar experience, although different flavor profile with a Lagavulin 16. So if someone said this is $150, okay, that's fine. That's reasonable. This is very good.
Yeah. I like what you're saying there. It's complex. It's, I would probably skew towards the Lag 16, but again, that's just a profile thing for me. It's, spoiler alert, Lag 16 is, one of our favorites if you haven't heard before. But it's, I'm going to creep you out too. The mouth experience of this is really nice.
You're right. That sounds terrible to hear your brother say.
It's awful. But no, like it does. I hate talking about that stuff, but I'm going to anyway. It's smooth. It's syrupy. It's
that's what I was going to say. Like it's syrupy. It does have a bit of the spiciness from the oak, like on the finish, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're definitely getting a lot of those sugars that are coming out, like the toasted brown sugars, like melted butter, like that kind of stuff. It's really nice.
Absolutely. I'm getting a lot more into sherried whiskeys than straight up Islas. I think we've talked about this before, but I'm just getting more and more into sherry bombs, and this borders into sherry bomb country. Yeah, it's bordering it.
Yeah,
it's lovely.
I was going to say, I would say the nose is sherry bomb adjacent.
Right. And
the palate's getting is like in the same neighborhood.
For sure.
Right? Like it's not quite there, but it's very nice.
What is the ABV on this? I forgot to check.
43.
43
is what I've got. Yeah. So it says matured exclusively in hand-picked sherry seasoned oak casks from Jerez, Spain. Mm-hmm. Jerez, probably not Jerez. Jerez, Spain.
That's a pretty white pronunciation, I think.
Yeah, it's from Jerez. I'm sure that's a soft J.
In España, I think.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Or jogging. Yeah. I believe it's a soft J.
Right.
So yeah, I quite like it. It's like you said, I think it pairs up really well with, especially with the Bruce Wayne side of things.
Oh yeah, it's a perfect Bruce Wayne whiskey.
What I want to do before we start talking about the comic is I want to get into my voice actor voice. I want to read you a little something.
Oh, this is a surprise.
Beware the court of owls that watches all the time, ruling Gotham from a shadowed perch behind granite and lime. They watch you at your hearth, they watch you in your bed, Speak not a whispered word of them, or they'll send the Talon for your head.
That's the nursery rhyme in Gotham City.
It's a friggin' nursery rhyme.
That's terrifying.
It's very terrifying. That's no Jack Nimble.
That is the Court of Owls that has been whispered about for centuries in Gotham City. That Batman, when asked about this, says it's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
Yeah. Nah, it's not real.
Yeah. So we're going to try and not get it too spoilery because we want people to read this book. Mm-hmm. But basically, yes, that is the nursery rhyme about this Court of Owls, this secret society that have been running things in Gotham City for centuries that everybody laughs off as being a joke.
Yeah.
And then Batman discovers some murders happen that appear to be made by an assassin called the Talon.
Right.
And Batman goes a-looking.
And he's convinced that someone is trying to make people think that the Court of Owls exist by having these knives with owl iconography on them.
Yeah. And
by using scare tactics similar to what is, whispered at in these nursery rhymes.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of don't really want to talk more about the story because, again, I really want people to go and read it. But
they do exist.
But spoiler alert, they exist.
And Talon's awesome.
Talon's great. I'm totally stealing the basis of Talon for a D&D character that I've written up.
You've told me, and I'm so excited.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
But I mean, he's basically Talon.
Yeah. Except he's an owl folk.
Yeah, he's an owl folk, which is kind of like an Aarakocra for all you D&D nerds out there. But it's basically that. But yeah, I mean, this book rocks. I mean, Greg Capullo's Batman is like, it's way up there for me.
It's so up there for me, I might own an NFT of it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Nice.
I've got that one on Vive.
Nice. I've got the Macfarlane.
It's also awesome.
It's also pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, like, for Batman artists, like, Capullo was up there with Jim Lee for me. Like, Jim Lee's Batman is pretty effing spectacular. I mean, Frank Miller's
pretty hard.
Batman is also, cool. It's different. His is completely different. But, the art in this book is great. It's gorgeous when it needs to be gorgeous. It's brutal when it needs to be brutal. It's gritty.
That's what stands out with this Batman over like the Jim Lee Batman is this Batman is dark, is grizzled, gets the snot kicked out of him.
And the way that Greg Capullo draws villains is, I think, what I really love most about the entire run.
Yeah.
All his villain work. His Joker is just terrifying. We've already discussed that. But like the Riddler is in one of the books, and like that one's fantastic. Like all of his villain work, I think, is just fantastic.
The character design of one, the flowers, what was that one called?
I can't remember.
Hold on.
Is it in the Riddler book?
No, I was in 0 Year.
Right.
Yes. So yes, the Riddler as well.
Anyway, I'll keep talking as you're looking it up because that's boring podcasting to listen to you look through a book.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, and Scott Snyder, the way like the whole story that he created is just, it's phenomenal. I really can't say enough good things about it and about him. They teamed up again. Did they do some?
So they did
heavy metal. All-Star.
Yes, they did. Yes, sorry. So they did heavy metal,
right?
Which was also, that's where you got the Batman Who Laughs.
Oh, right.
Which was the best part of that was the Batman Who Laughs. Like it was just gnarly.
Yeah.
But then they did, and people were really on the fence with that one. You either liked it or you kind of
really
hated
didn't.
it. Or really didn't. And it's not that people loved it. Like it was cool. I liked the approach to I think I liked the story. Okay, the art was great.
Mm-hmm.
But then they did All-Star Batman, Like they kind of rebooted an All-Star Batman.
Did they?
And yeah, and it was really good. That one I enjoyed.
And I think they are teaming up again and doing something. Yeah, they're doing something soon. Again, this is really bad podcasting with you looking at a book and then me looking at my computer for something.
I can't remember this guy's name. Anyways, he was like the plant, and he could like grow his arms, and why can I not remember his name? Doesn't matter. I'm gonna stop looking.
No. Yeah. Stop looking.
Just stop. Come back to talking about this one.
Anyway, they've got a new one coming out. I think they're doing the Substack.
Oh yes, that's right.
And Capullo are doing a book on Substack now. That's about to launch.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll throw it in the show notes.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, yes. So, yeah, we don't really want to do too many spoilers. I mean, how about this? If you haven't read it, skip to the time down in the description where we stop talking about spoilers and we start talking about the other really cool thing that we went and cast this as a movie.
Yeah.
And we each have some thoughts on that. So that timestamp will be down below. You've got 3, 2, 1. Hit fast forward. We're going to talk a few spoilers. Cool. Okay. Talon's so cool.
Yeah, Talon rocks, man.
Yeah.
He's the best.
The fact that he can be reanimated, that they're seemingly immortal. The whole scene where Batman gets dragged down into the labyrinth and then goes like crazy because he's down there for a week with like no food or water, and he starts hallucinating. Like that whole thing is just incredible.
So I love one of the things that I really love about that is the mirroring of when he went looking for the Court of Owls as a kid and got locked in the room that he thought the Court of Owls was in for a week.
Yeah.
As well. And then they lock him. And it's kind of like, was that actually them?
Yeah.
Who locked him up there? Right? Did they close him in there? And then they've kept him, then they keep him in here for a week and he just goes absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah. And I really like how Greg Capullo like starts to draw Batman different as time progresses down there. Like he becomes more animalistic. Yeah. And his features become like his cape gets really long and tattered and is like he's got claws, and it's really
and then
cool
when when you actually do meet the Court of Owls, like he draws them as he sees them and is hallucinating how they're actually owls.
Yeah.
And it's not just those white masks, which by the way, that character design too of just those white masks for the Court of Owls are so simple and so awesome.
Yeah.
It's the comic book. It's the OG version of Squid Game.
Yes.
And how just genius. Here you go. Here's this dumb black mask with a shape on it.
Yeah.
But it's perfect. And I know there was like a special edition that you can get, like the box set which actually has the mask, which easy Halloween costume, folks. But yeah, and then the end, the way that Volume 1 ends with they have an army of Talons.
Just wake them all up.
Yeah. And okay, the really heavy spoilery part of like who Talon is.
Yeah.
You know,
Dick Grayson's great grandfather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. We're going to have to warn people when we do our casting about the spoilers because I definitely need to talk about that. Well, you know what? No.
Yeah, whatever.
I won't mention it. For those listening all the way through, when we get to that point when we're doing it, know that we understand that it's Dick Grayson's great-grandfather.
Yeah.
We don't want to mention that in a non-spoilery thing because it's kind of a big thing. And
but
the fact
so
that Dick was going to be a Talon because he had anyway.
He's got the tooth that like Batman knocks out, and they find that
he just makes him fight him so that he gets to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Like he purposefully ignores him. Gets him angry to freak out at him so that he can punch him in the face, knock his tooth out. Like,
yeah,
it's so good.
Also, I mean, talk about calling your shot. Batman's so good that he can punch you to dislodge the one molar he wants.
One tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most epic called shot of all time.
Yeah. Well, that and Bloodsport, where it's like, no, break this brick.
Yeah, that's a good one too. That's great. There's just so many little things in this book that I think that Scott Snyder really hit with, like making him the world's greatest detective, like stuff about how when he's with the Court of Owls, he's like, I know from the taste of the water that it's on your fountain, that there's more chemicals in it, which means we're close to the river. And I also know that giant owl statue is made of decorative marble, not construction grade marble. So it, and I also know that this compound explodes. And so I took it out of your old timey camera and
and watch this. Boom. I made a bomb.
And like just all the small stuff, like pulling when he like exhumes his great grandfather's, bones. And pulls the granite, which is like part of the nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
Right? The granite and lime or whatever it is.
Yep.
The limestone, when he's just like, he pulled those compounds out, which were from the knives that the Talon used to kill him, and he found where that happened underneath. Like just him. So there's this big thing, I think, in a lot of the recent Batman movies or Justice League movies where like even the Dark Knight trilogy with Christian Bale, like was he a great detective in a lot of, like, he doesn't really do a lot of great detective work in a lot of the movies that have come out recently. And I think, but like this gets back to that, like, no, he is the world's best detective.
Yeah.
Like that is the character of Batman.
Yeah. It's called Detective Comics.
Yeah.
DC for a reason, and this gets back to some of that of him going like he's deep on some of those.
Doing straight police work, like straight up detective police work, and it's really awesome. So yeah, if you listen to all of this and you hadn't read the book, it's still worth going and getting.
Oh, I mean, I've reread this 4 times.
Yeah, I think I've done the whole run 4 or 5 times. It's usually like a once a year thing. I'm like, I'm feeling kind of Batman-y. So let's just do it. So now that I just reread it, prepping for this, and now I'm like,
I know.
Call
now
my
I'm just
buddy
gonna
and get volume 2 back. And
I finished rereading this one this afternoon, and then I've got volume 2 beside me, and I was like, I think I might just go right into that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff on the go, but now I just want to at least get through the whole Court of Owls, City of Owls. Just got to get through all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then 3 is Death of the Family, I think.
Yeah. Which shoulder?
Yeah. Anyway, it's fun. It's great. Get some Macallan. Read some Batman.
Yeah.
It's fun times. Let's, all right, we're bringing people back in.
Here we go. If you skipped ahead.
Folks that skipped the spoiler section, welcome back. We're now going to cast this as a movie.
Yes.
So I've heard some other people doing some recastings. Shout outs to the Midnight Boys, a pew pew pew,
pew pew,
on the Ringerverse, another cool podcast that talks about this kind of stuff. And they did they did their own, like, let's recast a Batman. And I was like, that's a cool idea. I want to do that too.
Yeah.
So I told Alex, we're going to pretend we're studio executives and we are making the Court of Owls a movie.
10-part miniseries?
Whatever you want. 10-part miniseries. Sure. That's great.
Yeah.
So I picked a director. I don't think you did.
I didn't.
So, I mean, I can just tell you who I picked. I did it as a movie, not a series. If we could get this, if we could get all these people to do a miniseries, it'd be great. My casting is pretty insane, money wise. So I think someone who would direct the shit out of this movie would be Martin Campbell.
Okay.
Who directed Skyfall, or not Skyfall? Sorry, Casino Royale.
Yeah. All right.
He did Casino Royale. He did GoldenEye.
I like it.
I think it was Mask of Zorro and a couple of other, like, pretty high action. So he's got some good experience with the action. But I think like Casino Royale is the aesthetic that I want for this, basically.
Okay, I like that.
The James Bondy detective side of it, but also when you need to do action, he can flip an Aston Martin 14 times down a road
Guinness
and
World
do
Record.
really good, and can do really, really good fight scenes. I also thought about Sam Mendes, who did Skyfall. Who did Skyfall? That's why I said that. Yeah. So James Bondy.
Piggyback right off that.
Yeah.
And one of my, he's either the honorable mention or the one I want to go with, but I want Daniel Craig as Batman. But he doesn't quite have the look. He doesn't quite look enough Bruce Wayne-y, but that's what I want, is someone who can like get down and dirty and like rumble, because Batman, like some of the fight scenes in Court of Owls are pretty incredible. So I need someone who can do the action. And I was actually thinking of what Daniel Craig was like in Casino Royale. Yeah. I didn't land on him.
Okay.
But
so let's get into
it. I wanted someone like that. So it's funny that you mentioned the Casino Royale director, but
yeah. Right. You go first.
Okay.
Hit me with some honorable mentions. I've got some names I didn't pick, but if you name them too, or I'll give you a couple that were on the list.
So honorable mention, oddly enough, Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I can see it.
Who's Superman, except when I watch The Witcher,
yeah,
he's much more Batman.
Yeah, I can
so I kind of like that, except I can't get away from the fact that he's Superman.
Yeah.
I wanted someone like Jason Statham's got the action, but he doesn't quite have the look.
That sucks.
So what I decided to go with is I want Keanu.
Oh, you went Keanu, eh?
I did. And specifically, I went with him because of his ability to use blades.
Because of John Wick. Come on, just say it. It's John Wick as Batman.
Yeah. So he looks good in a suit.
Yep.
He's got the right Bruce Wayne aesthetic. He's a little bit older, which fits in well with my other picks when we get to Nightwing. So I needed him to be a little bit older than going with, some of the younger guys that are men that are out there acting. So I went with Keanu.
So I don't hate it. I don't love it. I
don't love it either. He's not quite right, but
he rocked the shit out of Batman, right? Like the Batman side. It's the Bruce Wayne stuff with Keanu. That's what holds me up. I was like, I don't think he's not enough.
He's not charismatic enough.
Yeah, I know. So I've seen a lot of lists. Like a lot of people think Gyllenhaal would be a good Batman, which I kind of get. So I almost went with John Bernthal, who Shane from The Walking Dead, Punisher. I almost went with him.
Okay.
For the same reason. You want someone who can get down and dirty and kick a lot of ass and fight. But I also think that if you see him outside of playing those characters, he can actually pull off charming pretty well.
Yeah.
But he's pretty one note, kind of like Keanu. So I didn't go with him, but I did think about him. Who I did go with is Ben Barnes, who, did you watch Shadow and Bone?
Yes.
He's the bad guy in Shadow and Bone.
Oh, yes.
And
great
he
call.
also played Jigsaw in the Punisher movies, or the Punisher TV show.
Yes. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Looks good in a suit.
Charming as shit.
Charming as hell.
He can play American. He's British, but I'm like, I could do a British Batman. I could do a British Bruce Wayne.
Well, I was also leaning towards Tom Hardy, but he ran a little younger than I wanted because he could be super charming. But he was also Bane, so yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, I like that.
I think off to a good start. Okay, so
I like that.
Just to let people know, so we did Batman, Nightwing, Alfred, Talon, and then one of the Court of Owls people.
Yeah.
Do you want to go Nightwing next?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've got two that I was trying to decide about, and like we mentioned in the spoiler section about the little bit about Nightwing, you'll see the reason why I might lean one way or the other, and I'm not going to say which. But for this, I want Michael B. Jordan.
You're changing it up a bit? Okay, I get it.
I loved him in Without Remorse, playing the action side of things. He can run a bit of a temper. He does have
Killmonger.
that. Yeah, just so great. I really like those scenes in Black Panther with like the fight. Anyways, I love me some Michael B. Jordan. So anyways, that was my pick. My honorable mention was Kit Harington.
That's hilarious. He was on my list of possibles as well.
Yeah.
I think he would be able to pull Nightwing off pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got two because I did something similar. So if I'm gonna switch it up, i.e., not a white guy, Stephen Yoon, who was Glenn on The Walking Dead.
Okay.
I think that he could pull off Dick Grayson pretty well. He's charming, but I think he's charming. He's a little bit awkward, but I think he can kick a lot of ass.
All right, I like that.
So he's one. But I was like, if I do that, you're gonna get a lot of a-holes out there being like, Dick Grayson's he's white.
Yeah.
So to pick a white person, I thought Taron Egerton.
Oh, I love that.
From The Kingsman.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
So I think like Ben Barnes and then Taron Egerton as Nightwing. I think he'd be able to pull that off pretty well. Again, you could keep it that British thing, right? So then they're both British, but I think that's him in The Kingsman.
Have you seen him as Robin Hood?
I haven't watched that yet.
Oh, it's really good too.
Yeah?
He's really good in it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, I like both of those.
Yeah.
I win.
Let's go Talon next.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
I win, so you go first.
Oh, okay.
It's like that. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so if I could cast Stephen Yoon,
yes,
as Talon, as Nightwing, my Talon would be Donnie Yen.
All right, I like that.
Yeah. It Man, Star Wars.
Yep.
He rocks.
Right. Okay. That's
if I can't go with him though, and I'm going with Taron Egerton, this is where I put John Bernthal.
Oh, okay.
And I also like the juxtaposition of having in the Punisher show, having Frank Castle and and Ben Barnes have the two of them, and now we're flipping it as to who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. But they were fantastic on screen together. My honorable mention for Talon was Sebastian Stan.
Okay.
But then I was like, he's kind of done the brooding, silent assassin guy for long enough. Do we really need to see him do another one?
Yeah.
But I think John Bernthal would be really awesome in that role.
Okay.
Hit me.
So this is a mask on Talon. And I went with Sisip Arif Rahman from The Raid and John Wick 3.
There you go.
Because I want someone who can throw knives and he's the best at it.
Yep.
So that's
a great choice.
And just because the style of knife that he uses is also that like the hooked looks like a claw.
Yeah.
And that's what he's known for. And anyways, so he was just the second I thought of Talon, that's who I went with. Mm-hmm. And so that's who I'm sticking with.
Very, very good. I'm on board with that.
Alfred. I went with Charles Dance. I want Tywin Lannister.
Oh, that's such a good pick.
Yeah. It's just because he gets all these really great lines, and he has those exposition moments.
Such a good pick.
Where he's just talking, and that's just what I want, because I want Tywin Lannister giving advice. And it's just some of the best parts of Game of Thrones were him just oh, it's like that, is it? And just so anyways,
such a good
that's
pick.
who I went with.
Shit. That's good.
Michael Caine was really good as Alfred though. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Sir.
Yeah. I was going to cast a Jim Gordon, and then I was like, I'm just going to pick Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
I think he was such a good Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
But I didn't pick one. I picked Timothy Dalton for Alfred.
Oh, I like that.
Because I think the other side of it, and it's later in this book series, but if we're going with this Court of Owls story, Alfred is a former SAS.
Yeah.
Just straight up ass kicker.
Who trained young Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. So he's a straight up killer himself. And so I was like, I want someone who's like, I thought about Liam Neeson. I was like, that's a little bit too on the nose. But then I was like, I think Timothy Dalton, because I think he's really, like, as he's aged, he's gotten out of that, the two Bond movies that he did where he was pretty one-dimensional. Like
Remington Steele. Oh, sorry, that was Pierce Brosnan. Sorry, James
I'm thinking,
Bond.
No, you're good. Like if you see, it's not Shaun of the Dead. It's the other one that they did. Hot Fuzz.
Yes.
Like Timothy Dalton in Hot Fuzz is so good. But yeah, I think he could pull off the Alfred in this universe.
I like that.
But yours is way better. Yours is way better.
I just that's just who I want to hear talking in my ear.
100%. And okay, so then we were also like, okay, there's the Court of Owls.
The actual court, yeah.
Yeah. So like the leader of the Court of Owls is an older lady in a wheelchair. And I'm assuming we both said the same person.
We must.
Because as soon as I read that,
I only thought of one
I was
person.
Like, yeah, okay. I almost guarantee it is.
Okay. On three?
Yeah, sure. One, two, three. Maggie Smith. Yeah. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was the briefest moment afterwards where I decided on Maggie Smith that I was like, Judi Dench? No, Maggie Smith.
But Maggie Smith's just perfect.
Yeah.
She's so good. Shouts to all my Downton Abbey heads out there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even care. That show's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's great. Cool. I think both of our movies would be very good.
Yes. Yes, they would. I want Benioff and Weiss doing mine as a 10-part miniseries.
Pretty dope. I think, you know what? I think you could totally do this as a 10-part miniseries as opposed to a movie.
I mean, you'd end up wanting 30 episodes if you just kept going. That's the problem.
At that point, I would just be like, you just give me, like, each book is a season.
Yeah, exactly.
Just give me 8 seasons of this. Yeah. Cool. Well, let's wrap it up on that.
I was gonna say, stick your nose back in here. What are you getting?
Oh, after all this time?
After all this talk,
too. Man, it's been so long. I forgot we give grades.
Oh, I know.
Ooh. It's gonna be really hard on the essentials to give grades when we're.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's all gonna be high.
Yeah. Well, and especially like the pairing. It's a 10.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. The pairings across this volume or this season are all going to be 10s.
Yeah, it is. I think we're just gonna let's just not give numbers for pairings because these are all 10s.
Yeah. What were we gonna like pair them poorly?
This one sucks. This pairing is a 2.
Don't do it. Why are we bothering?
It's the point of your show, idiots. Yeah, coming back in, like it's opened up nicely. Again, it's just dried cherries, red fruits, raisins.
Yeah, raisins,
sugar, syrup.
Thompson, Sultana. No,
I'm not that. I'm not that discerning.
Yeah, and like you said, there's like some nice syrupy.
Yeah,
a nice syrupy quality, some honey. So yeah, thanks very much, Dan. So yeah, for me, do you want to start with? Let's start with the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with a nice rounded. Now, taking into account the price, because we do that here, I'm gonna go give this an 8. Blind taste alone, it might go a little bit higher. Knowing I have to spend $150 on it, it affects it and brings it down a little bit. So I'm just going with a nice solid 8, which is great. I will drink 8 all night long.
Yeah, I think I'll join you on that. Join that 8. 8's I think really solid. For all the exact same reasons that you said. Yeah. I personally would like it to be a little bit stronger on the ABV side if I'm going to be picking nits.
Let's pick some nits and get 3% more on the ABV, get her up to a 46.
Give me a 46, then I'd be a little bit happier because then, just a little bit more oomph. Yep. But yeah, 8, solid 8.
Nice.
All these scores for these books are going to be really high too. This is a whopping 10 for me.
Love it.
There's absolutely nothing that I would change about this book. Anybody who likes Batman or superhero stories in any way should read this book.
Yep, absolutely. They do some amazing things with the characters. They give some awesome plot twists. They introduce some new villains. The whole mythos around the Court of Owls, the backstory, how they've interwoven with Gotham City over the generations, multiple generations of Waynes. It's all awesome. The writing's great. This was really well planned out. I'll join you. It's a 10 for me. I've reread the book multiple times. I love it. I can't wait until, my son and then eventually my daughter are old enough where I can give this to them and not give them nightmares. This will be one of the first Batman books I recommend once they're older. So it's fantastic. So this is, Volume 2, Episode 1, Batman, Court of Owls, 10 out of 10. And
kicking it off, right?
Love it.
Big thanks as always to our friend Colin Response for the use of his theme song, which you'll notice sounds a little bit different. We decided to change it up to make it more classic, so that nice little 16-bit version of Something About Your Love by Colin Response. Go get the real thing, though, because the real song's also awesome. If you want to hear clips of that, listen to our old episodes. But we should change it up a little bit with his permission, of course. We didn't just do this. So thanks, Colin. Go buy his stuff. Support him. He's an awesome guy. Check us out on our website, which desperately needs to be updated. That's on us. Holy crap. So we will get on that and get more things up there for you to read, more articles and reviews and stuff to read. That's thewhiskeygeeks.com. Where can they find us on Instagram, Alex?
Oddly enough, we're also at The Whisky Geeks on Instagram. And whiskey does have an E in it for all of you folks who are maybe traditionalists and only drink Scotch and don't think there should be an E in whiskey. We are very inclusive here at The Whisky Geeks, and we'll drink anything whiskey related. So yes, The Whisky Geeks. And if they wanted to send us an email, Tim, like where should they send that to if they had questions or wanted to see pairings in the future?
They could send an email to thewhiskeygeeks@gmail.com.
Holy smokes. It's like
if you want to start asking us
questions
questions,
all across.
Absolutely. We might start doing a mailbag section and shout you out. So if you want to get a question on air, ask us anything. If you want to ask, hey, who would you cast as Green Lantern to make a Green Lantern movie that didn't suck? Those kind of questions.
Still Ryan Reynolds.
Still Ryan Reynolds. I could probably think of someone better. I would totally. Here's a little spoiler. I would make it a Guy Gardner movie, and no one wants a Guy Gardner movie except for me. And let's be honest, the only reason I want Guy Gardner is because he's a redhead, and there are very few of us that I can root for. And rooting for Guy Gardner is.
It's like all you got in the superhero.
It's still kind of tough. He is a rough hero, but he beats a lot of ass. And if you want a good Guy Gardner story, I'll bring that up at a future episode. But there's a run of Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps where Guy Gardner just straight up is a beast, and it's amazing. I love every second of it. But yeah, you can ask us random questions like this. Ask us, what's your favorite, like what whiskeys would you drink at this price range? We're more than happy to bring that up. We might start doing a mailbag if we get enough questions. So send in questions.
And if you please, and this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button down below on the YouTubes, or hit the follow button there on the Spotify or the iTunes or wherever it is you're listening to podcasts.
And tell your friends.
Tell your friends. That would be great. A rate and review, maybe.
Wow, that'd be fun.
That'd be
so cool if people would do that. Yeah.
I don't want like our mom to be the only person who hits those 5-star reviews. That's just sad.
No, our wives don't even do that.
No. I mean, she's upstairs. She could sort of hear me now. She's like, I don't need to listen to it later.
Yeah, get out of here. I hear you talk about whiskey and comics all the time. I don't
way too often.
My spare time. So that's going to be us. That is going to be it for us for this week. It's as if I've had more than just one 43% whiskey tonight. I swear I have. It's just that one, but my tongue doesn't work. Come back again. If you're just watching us on YouTube, go and check out our audio podcast because we do put other content on there only. If you are only listening to the audio podcast, go check out our YouTube channel because there's different content on both.
So you there.
Get some stuff there, some stuff where you are now. So go check us out on both. And for the Whisky Geeks, I am Tim.
And I am Alex. And remember, Scotch and stories, they were made for each other. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.